When I sit down in front of my modular system, I don't usually struggle to make sounds. I struggle to make music. A modular synthesizer can generate endless melodies, rhythms, textures, and happy accidents. But composition isn't about possibilities. It's about decision. It's about knowing where a piece is going and why. And that's often where modular gets complicated. For the last few months, I've been thinking a lot about musical control. Not control in the technical sense, but controls in the compositional sense. How do you guide the modular system toward a musical idea? A while ago I met Máté from Doboz, and he gave me this T12. But the more I used this module, the more I realized it was built around a much bigger question. How can a modular instrument help us make more musical decisions? And that question started in Budapest, when I was meeting Máté from Doboz. Can you introduce yourself?
I am Máté Szabó. I run this small business called Doboz. I was born and raised in Slovakia. Now I live in Budapest since some years.
The second question I wanted to ask is, how you started these things about modules and synthesizer? What gap did you see that makes you choose, like, I want to do this?
This isn't how it was generated around me.
Okay.
So I was like in my early years, I also had long hair, guitar. During the high school, I played in band. Actually, I studied flute. So I had a guitar. My parents bought it for me, but I had no money for like guitar pedals, which appealed to me really sexy all the time, to shape the sound. And someone told me that I can build them myself, like I was at the age of 13, 14. So I got to the local Radio Shack, brought some resistors, transistors, and I built my first fuzz.
Okay.
This is really how it started, because then I got into schematics. I wanted to make a tremolo.
Sure.
And this is how I met VCAs.
Okay.
So I did understand the electronical diagrams of the synthesizers even before I met any real world
synthesizers stuff.
Yeah. The first one that I encountered was a Roland Promarche.
Okay.
Local guy there had one. This was a monophonic synth with us. I think it saved some presets. And it was fascinating for me to meet something that I've seen before only in schematics, the electronical diagrams.
That's interesting. You find your path through the inner part instead of the outer part. Because actually sometimes synthesizers are colorful and LEDs and they're like blinking lights, and you get into because you're like, oh, that blinking stuff is interesting. But it's interesting to me that you coming from the inner part. Like,
I just wanted to have guitar effect pedals.
Yeah, but like in the end, like you met I just said, like the VCAs and that stuff is going on the other way around, and it's so peculiar actually.
And then I fell in love with these things, but I never had one. And back then, there were no cheap small synths.
Yeah.
Like the Arturia released the Microbrute. I think that was the
origin of analog ring.
Yeah, and it was accessible. And it was cheap. But I fell in love with modular synths because the things you said, knobs, a lot of controls everywhere.
Yeah, LEDs, cables.
Yes, the endless options of the variability of the whole thing. But I had no money for that, of course. But then I looked around and saw the Muffigler forum back then, and some people were selling their own designs as a bare PCB, like you could bought it, get the components. And this is how I started building modular. I was like maybe in my early 20s. but I always wanted to develop some stuff. Earlier, I made some tap tempo tremolos based on the electric druid LFOs, those digital LFOs. I sold those on the local, not marketplace, but in like guitar forums. So that was fun. And somehow I ordered an Arduino.
Okay.
And I started to educate myself in coding. I started to bring one LED, 2 LEDs, 16 LEDs, and that was a sequencer. And this is how my journey started. I developed this module called Prisma. It was a really clever sequencer with a lot of options, but in a really small format with only 2 encoders on it, with 16 RGB LEDs. And then I uploaded it to Muffigler. I made the boards available. People could order.
And you were like selling that as first, like only as a DIY product, or also?
Only as bare PCB plus panel.
Okay. So people need to source their BOM parts, and this was your first module.
This was
actually is the sequencer. So it's like you also taking the hardest module to do in some way for other people, because I think like sequencers sometimes are really most personal modules, because you need to your way in your portrait to compose. So sometimes they are difficult to fit everyone into this idea. So you also at that moment already the idea of having this as a something just as a passion, as a hobby, as a things, or just already like it was something like a business and
No. Zero business ideas back then. I needed a sequencer that had a built-in quantizer, because I came from, so I studied flute. I had musical theory with me all the time, and I wanted to create melodical stuff, but easily. This constrains me till this day also. It's hard for me to reach out from those classical musical approaches.
I can feel
this is a problem for
I
me,
was
really.
doing that too, and so for me it's like the same way. Like I feel like that in Eurorack sometimes there's like 2 parts. Like there's like
2 schools.
The more noisy school, like and unpredictable and all the chaotic things, and they're also like I want to do melodies with it and make it interesting with it.
Yes, and for the first time I thought that I want to make melodies with it easily, and that's why I developed that sequencer. It had a built-in quantizer. You could edit your own scale, and there are some interesting transposition options to have more variety in your sequence, in your melodical progression. Yes.
And from that also you move to another module, which is the one introduced me to your brand actually, because I was using also one of your modules.
Which one?
With the touching part.
The circular ones?
No, the TSM. Yeah, it's the first model I saw from your brand actually. I think 6 or 7 years ago, about years ago it was. And I think it's the first introduction to Doboz I had. And so you developed that idea also into something performative also, in some way.
It is. But there was a predecessor to that module called
Xio.
Xio, Xio.
Which actually a friend of mine has, and I also tried that.
So yes, and then I moved into this touch-oriented controlling.
And if for you it was something like, because from the Prisma, the first one, you like the interactivity of it, or you wanted to move something to more performative. It's like, what was the path to lead you to
Exactly.
to do something like this?
To be more performative, and the same as with all those melodies, I wanted to have a hands-on keyboard controller without moving parts, but to play the same melodies.
Yeah.
But that one had an arpeggiator, and that felt to me back then really performative. most of the time they use the arpeggiator and they're all right with it. So maybe the other part, the sequencing options in those modules are really do not need it.
Also, I like it a lot about this module that you have a lot of touchpads, because a lot of time in those kind of module you have like 4 or maybe 2 or 3 is not this in this is actually not so big format. I'll put the model here
Yeah.
just to show the people, and like you have a lot of pads, so it becomes like a gateway to have a instrument somehow from the Eurorack, because sometimes people see that as a more passive way of playing instruments. With Eurorack they just maybe do a patch and leave it like this. In this way you are interacting with it a lot, and with this many pads it's interesting that you can do a lot of stuff except for arpeggiation, that is.
Maybe most of the times it's a bit unnecessary to have that many options, and maybe for some people it's not enough. So
It depends on like,
it's a good point to think again in my upcoming designs.
and that's why I want to ask you after, like, how one of your design born, like how is your path to create something from the first idea till the final product that you're giving away to people to buy? Like, is something that comes out from necessity, like it was your first model, you like, I want to do melodies with this, or it comes like from maybe looking at what other brands are doing and thinking like, oh, I like this idea but I maybe prefer it in another way? Is like,
These modules, mine, are like, I can modify a lot in the firmware. In the UI, the controls are fixed. There is not a lot of them. But in the firmware, I can test and develop a lot of ideas. I just try. And if I see that something works, then I leave it. Then I try to fine-tune it.
and you like to have a lot of feedbacks also from people that is playing your models. You have open to that part. You like to discuss maybe with returning customer. I don't like this word, but it's the most easy one to describe. Like people that also have other modules from you, and they're like, "Oh, it will be cool, these things," like, and you will be, "Okay, maybe I can do it." I don't know.
There were some incoming ideas that I implemented in later firmwares. I really like the feedback.
And talking about feedbacks, is like, I'm curious about, we were chit-chatting before this interview actually, also about here in Budapest, and how also the place you are living shape what you're doing, is giving you some opportunity. Is like, you feel like it's a place you like to be to do this kind of stuff, or is more or less driving, community driving here? It's like how she's shaping Doboz, because actually to people that doesn't know Hungarian like me, Doboz actually is a Hungarian word.
It
right?
is. It's called Doboz. It means box. And I named my business Doboz because at the beginning, when I was producing and building my own modulars, my friends were looking at me asking, "What the fuck are you doing? What's this?" And they told me that it's a V logo Doboz, a blinking Doboz, blinking box, like a box with blinking lights.
It's something really descriptive of modular stuff.
100% descriptive for it. A box with blinking lights, and yeah, somehow it sounded cool.
And is linking the Doboz as a Eurorack brand is linked somehow with Hungary, or is just it's a place you live because of other reason and you just be here and do whatever you do?
Most of it, I lived in a small city, like around some 9,000+ of population in Slovakia, and I never met there anyone dealing with modular. Actually, I've never seen another module. Even I had already my own business. I was selling 2 or 3 modules, types of modules, and I've never seen a factory-made module by another brand.
Okay, because you're just DIYing that.
Yeah, I was DIYing all my things. Luckily, all the technical specs are up on the first site, so anyone can make Eurorack. But in Hungary, it's like recently, here is a big boom of modularism. It just motivates me.
Okay.
It's cool to chit-chat with people, to meet artists that are using modular or even my stuff.
That's cool also. How do you feel about seeing people, maybe you don't even know to use your stuff? How is rewarding, or is something like...
It's a warm feeling. It is rewarding. It's like, it's good to see that these things have a final, that they have their meaning to people.
Because you spend a lot of hours prototyping.
Yes.
And you feel like this kind of work that is giving you the opportunity to be inspired from other people.
Yeah, I think that you get, for example, I used those addressable LEDs on my first module because I saw those on the Euclidean circles by Vladimir Pantelic. There's a lot of, I don't know. Of course, you get some ideas from older designs if you are more into the analog part. But technically, I think to get the news about freshly developed microcontrollers and stuff.
Yeah.
So this information exchange works. I mean, I heard about the RP2040, which is a microcontroller developed by Raspberry on Superboot from out of project.
Okay. See?
And since then I use them.
What you see as future development of this world, like what you want to see?
What I want to see? Well, I think everything on the world has cycles, ups and downs. Maybe Eurorack will also much more will separate into a more old school way with not necessarily simpler modules, but with a different approach, and to a more technical, more new school way or school. I hope it will be more accessible.
Okay. In what sense? Like technical or economical?
Economical way. And I hope not Behringer will make it more accessible. But I think much more people should start the DIY way, just to build their own, because now it's really easily accessible. All these beautifully made pre-soldered boards, mostly pre-soldered boards.
They're easier to do for people, actually.
I think it's a nice free time activity to solder your own.
It is, and it also teaches something.
It teaches a lot.
It's like doing a science, not science, maybe physics and electronic lesson on the spot, and in the end you ended up with something that makes you happy because you have a new model. So
and you saved some bucks. You
save some bucks, yeah. So I also saw that you send modules and kits in 4U formats. Is something that you want still develop? That is something new coming in that part, or you're going in a different way?
I see that the 4U people are more open to less technical, less complex modules. They like to have hands-on controls for everything. So this is why I'm thinking about a touch controller, maybe with an arpeggiator in 4U in Buchla format.
And what about the idea of exiting an ecosystem like Eurorack or modules, like, or even 4U, like going?
In the last year, I was developing a small synth, almost pocket-sized, 13 by 13 centimeters, which is a monophonic input but paraphonic output synth, a chord synth. And my goal was to achieve like this chord-like or pad-like textures, but with the least tweaking. So it also has my traditional approach with scales, but it also has microtonal or free tuning modes
Okay.
or some more esoteric stuff. Hope it will work. On the market. We'll
Yeah.
see.
And what for you is the hardest part of running a brand like Doboz?
Everything except designing.
Okay.
So it's my passion. It's my most loved activity to design PCBs, to write the code, to prototype the electronics, to do the documentation, even to do the website. But the business part, like to be in contact with my accountant, caring about money.
Is Hungary hard like is in Italy, or like, because in Italy bureaucracy is well known also to other countries that is hard.
Maybe bureaucracy in Hungary is a legend.
Okay. So it's not helping at all, like small brand identity.
I run my business in Slovakia now.
Okay.
Since like almost 10 years. I'm a registered private entrepreneur there. And my accountant takes care of most of the stuff, of the paperwork, billing and things. But
It's all the non-fun part.
that's the non-far part, like.
And you see,
And also the communication, like the marketing, like most of the times, like I look like a dead man on Instagram and everywhere because
it's hard to keep up now with this fast world.
I should put much more energy into that, to advertising myself.
But I still think like with the ideas in this world, since it's a tiny niche and people are more keen to search by themselves stuff, they will reach you eventually. If you have ideas and you have something that people not only wants but cope with it, they will reach you in the end. That was like
Looks like this is the truth because I'm living from this still.
yeah.
Back then when I started, it was a lot easier because there were a lot less manufacturers, and
Actually,
I was more in the site. So anyone who came up with a DIY module and started to sell it as a PCB kit on Muffigler, he was in direct sight of everyone. So I thank God or anyone that I'm still in the pixies, maybe, that I still look from the water, or I don't know how to say, but yeah, I definitely should put much more energy into this.
It's like New Year's resolution.
This is my New Year's resolution every year since years.
What struggles you feel is the most beside bureaucracy in that part, like creative part,
Like
in that field?
what most bugs me is when I'm developing a digital module, just things do not work out.
Okay.
It doesn't want to run. The processor is completely filled with tasks.
Okay.
And then you have to take a huge deep breath and work with something different, with a different module. Or I'm repairing old film cameras for weeks. And then I sit back in front of the visual code, scratch my head and start to think again that how can I shrink all this stuff so it
In
should
tiny processor and
this small synth, the DVNA, I gave up 3 times
okay.
because it just
How much time are you developing that? Since?
since a tiny bit more than a year, but the major part of the development took 1 year. Like that, I put together the electronics in a day. I designed the PCB in a few afternoons, but the coding, which was a bit new to me, because audio processing and DSP, I had to learn a lot to have this result, to make my ideas true. But you have to stop sometimes, deal with something else, and sit back.
It's like when you do.
This just works.
See, it's like maybe like when you do a musical piece or a hard piece, and you're like,
You sometimes have to listen with fresh ear.
yeah, and make 2 steps from the back, and like, I will leave that, and I will do another things.
Exactly.
And like, you see, designing stuff like this, also part of an artistic expression, or is just like for you a tool that you maybe want to have to make something artistic.
I have no direct artistical approaches,
Uh-huh.
but I like if the outcome, the visuals of a module
Uh-huh.
somehow appeal to me.
Uh-huh. So it's like,
There's a lot of going back and forth between the PCB designer and illustrator to have a mock-up.
yeah, sure, to have the idea of how it will look in the end.
Yeah.
Have you ever see someone using one of your product and creation, use it in such an unexpected way or so much different way that you were like, I didn't design that for this, but this is cool, or something like that?
So, but one of it's a VCO, but I do not exactly remember how. But then I had a moment of realization that I was absolutely not thinking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like feeding back the sub oscillator to the FM input, and it was just cool. Maybe something like this.
And how does it make you feel when someone is doing like this, like giving you a new perspective, another person to is?
Oh, there was one another, a friend of mine. I gave him a T12 touch controller, and it runs kind of like applications. I did not want to throw everything in, so there are like operators, I call them operators, from which you can choose, and those determine the main behavior, like keyboard, arpeggiator, and a load of sequencers.
Okay.
And there is a 3-part sequencer where each sequencer, they are short, like 0 to 4 steps, but they receive different clock divisions. And this guy is totally into this. And I was so happy about this because I was expecting that this will be the least used mode of that module. And he said that for him, it's so easy to configure and easy to get some pleasing results that he wanted.
It's interesting to me that when you're designing something, you need to. You were saying that like this feature, you were thinking that it was least used, but it was used a lot by this guy. And like when you're like decided to put one mod in one of your modules, you're like, what is the decision? Is like something that you will use, or you're just saying like, okay, this could be cool. But
sometimes yes, but mostly the other version that this could be cool, and then I program it. See how it does. Does it have does it have to be there, or will it work? Just test it out, and sometimes it ends up.
And this is also it to doing a lot of digital stuff. Maybe it's helping you about this, because with analog maybe you need to think about it in different ways, but putting out firmware update and stuff like this, or maybe.
Yes, but I'm really about controlling stuff. Wish I had more time to prototype some eclectic wave shaping options. But I think this is my topic mostly.
That's cool.
Regarding 4U modules, once Suzane Ciani was playing here in Budapest, in the House of Music, and I brought her a touch controller, and she arrived from maybe Portugal or from UK, but via Portugal, and he had to exchange from one airplane to the other, and her modular did not follow her. So she arrived without the case.
Okay.
She made a live set using her notebook, and that night she had only one module, and that was fine.
So it was like,
This was a really sad story, but she was super nice. Glad to meet her.
but in the end, if you could sell that record, like, you know, that classical record sometimes that they are like playing on Steinway, and you can see sometimes like pianists like putting out some also from some records, and like this is like Chopin played by this on Steinway, and it will be like
Maybe someone will use for a lifetime my modules, but I do not think this will happen.
where do people can reach your stuff to see on your website, and also you are active on some forums or some social page, and I will put some links here.
Well, I sell mostly through my web shop on Doboz.audio,
Okay.
and in the US Perfect Circuit, they are also selling my stuff.
So yeah, I hope you had a fun time responding to this question, and also it will be interesting to see all the follow-ups you will put out, also the standalone thing that you're working on and all that stuff, and to maybe see you around also.
Thanks for stopping by.
It was cool.
Grazie mille.
Modular brought me to Budapest, and this conversation with Máté was only the first part of the story. What comes next happens back in the studio. See you in part 2.